know I'm late on this. I know many people have spoken about this. Many people have made videos about this. But I said, you know what? I'm busy. I'm not going to rush into it. I'm going to take my time, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the little devils that are running around on this earth. The little devils that are coming out of C-sections already with horns. That's what I'm talking about. These devils. We're not talking about Adamic sin, right? They wasn't talking about that. That wasn't said. The Adamic sin that they got from, Adam and Eve. He wasn't talking about that. They're talking about people, little people, that are enemies of God in the womb, right? There's debate as to when an embryo, or I guess sperm, egg, when does it become a being, a human being? And I don't know the numbers on that. Pretty sure you guys know. But from that point, whatever that number is, that baby is a devil. That baby is an enemy of God. Now, what I do is I go past the actual shock of someone saying that. And I say, well, what's the objective, right? Because with this organization, the leaders of this organization, or the puppets, the puppet leaders of this organization, there's always an objective, right? It's a means to an end, right? So I say, wow, that's insane. Now, what is the reason for it? And if someone were to say that, let's say on the street, walking by, I would probably chalk it up to insanity, right? Children are enemies of God. I would say that's a radical. There's some mental illness involved. And, I associate those terms with this, with the, governing body as well. But there's something more that's going on. So you got to read between the lines. You got to look behind the curtain. So I said, okay, why? Why? Think, Sean. And there was a few conclusions that I came up with. I said, okay, people are going to run to baptize a lot earlier, maybe even at birth, possibly. Maybe there's going to be some new light where you can baptize at birth, or, at a younger age, which is going to possibly, hopefully, I guess they're hoping it's going to up the membership number. Maybe they can stop the bleeding of losing members. And then I also thought that it can basically whip people back into shape, right? People may be becoming a little more laxed. Like, okay, we got Zoom. I can basically, not show my face on Zoom. I can, I can do dishes. I can cook, So you guys are getting laxed or too relaxed, and I'm going to whip you back into shape. Because if children are enemies of God, what does that make you? Right? Once again, enough is never enough in this organization. It's like, soon as you got comfortable in thinking that you did these hours and you're forming a bond with Jehovah Almighty, they like to knock you back. You got too comfortable. You think that you just going to sail into the new system. No. No. Because if a child, a newborn, is an enemy of God, what does that make you? Right? Because essentially what they're saying is that Satan is an enemy of God. Yeah, you're an enemy of God without doing nothing that Satan supposedly did. Right? Nothing. Now you were born an enemy of God. We're not talking about sin now. They may try to throw that, well, we're all sinful or whatever. Even if you abide by their doctrine and say, Adamic sin and all of that or whatever, when they didn't say that, they said an enemy of God basically at birth. Children are enemies of God. And in the most weird clown it movie way, he says, basically, don't call your child an angel, right? When I look at a playground and I see children running around and laughter and joking and there's no prejudice and racism and they're not thinking about war or murder, I say children are by far the purest beings on the face of the earth. And then life happens and then they become, things happen during life. There's pain, there's heartache, there's a lot going on, and we get worse as we get older. But children are the most hopeful. When you see children, you're like, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful about everything because it's just beauty in children. But not according to the governing body, right? No. Don't you dare call them angels. They are enemies of God, right? So, when you see the cancer, I guess, hospital for children, and these are enemies of God, in that state. And may even justify that, that was allowed to happen to them because they're enemy. There's so much that I don't even want to speak these things out loud about children. I don't even want to speak it. Things that happened to children and they're an enemy of God when these things happen to them. Does that justify maybe why these things happen to? There is so much layers on this, and I think that possibly they may try damage control if enough letters come in to the society. But I look at you guys that may be watching this, the rank and file, and say, after this, how bad does it have to get after this? What can they say next to make you really say, oh, well, that's it? If this is not the bottom, if this is not the, I don't know what is. If this is not this is worse than calling me, an African American, a black man, the N-word. In my opinion, this is worse than that. This is worse than Stephen Lett saying, well, go back to where you came from, monkey boy. It's worse than that. It's that's nothing compared to what you just said about children, right? This is, when you think about the Holocaust, right? Everything that happened to children, it's almost, I can't even speak about this stuff. Slavery, I can't even speak about the things that happened to children during these times. And you're going to still stand there and say, well, because basically you would say, well, they're an enemy of God. That's why they were fed to alligators. They were enemy of God. That's why they were put in ovens. Where does it stop? Y'all are, after this, still sitting in these meetings, whether it's Zoom or in person. You are classified, A-list classified, mentally diseased. You have a master's degree in mentally diseased. That's it. There's nothing after this. Because there's people that have newborns right now. They have children right now. And for you to let that sit right with you, if someone were to say that in your living room, you probably would say, yeah, that person can't come to my house anymore, let alone be around my children. He just said, or she just said that children, like my children that are in the next room right now, he or she called them enemies of God. Yeah, they can't come over here no more. Yeah, scratch them off the list. No more barbecues, no more nothing. That person is insane. But you let this guy slide, pun intended. You let Stephen slide from saying that. Diseased. And I feel bad. I feel so sorry for you. I really do. This is not anger. I'm speaking passionately. There's nothing else you can say. There's nothing else you can say. I mean, Stephen excuse my language, and no offense, there's nothing that can surprise you after, like, what's next? What's next? Saying black people will live in trees in a new system, and then, work their way to the ground. Like, what's next? Y'all are just, I mean, I can't say anymore. I can't say anymore. The children. Don't buy into it. Your children are angels. Your children are not enemies of God. Your children is loved by God. The Bible says in a few scriptures, maybe even more than that, you guys can let me know. Be like children. Be like a child. Be childlike. It's the most beautiful. If everyone was to walk around this earth as children, what would this earth look like? Because according to Stephen Lett and the rest of the governing body, this would be an abomination. Because if all children are enemies of God, that means that they are causing the wars. They are part of the disease. They are part of everything that has gone wrong with this world. Everything. They're part of it too. You're a part of it too. You are to blame, you enemy of God. They are calling your child Satan. And you stand there and justify it. They didn't justify why they said that. You'll justify it when people ask you. Family XJW say, why did Stephen? Well, no, it's because there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse. It's wrong. And they have to pay for that because they're putting words in God's mouth. I'll leave it there. Y'all know what I ask you to do in every video. Think. And if you're seeing this and you have children, even if you don't have children, but more so if you have children, think what these people are trying to do. Think about it. On top of everything else that these people have said about children, they have this agenda. This thing going on with children. I'll leave it there. As always, it's love. Take care.